Good morning, and welcome to this virtual worship gathering of the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond. My name is Suzanne Short, and I am pleased to serve this community on its board of directors. Thank you for taking the time to honor our connections in the ways that we have available until we are able to meet again in person. If you are a visitor here today, our congregation welcomes you, and we are so glad that you are here. Our church was begun in 1833 as a liberal Christian community. We are now a community of many faith journeys and beliefs, guided not by a creed, but by a covenant to uphold shared principles marked by love, respect, and justice. Our faith community continues to work together to put our UU principles and values into action, to build beloved community and serve the purpose of justice for all in the Richmond community. If you are new to Unitarian Universalism, we invite you to check out our website, join our Facebook group, and reach out to us by email to membership@richmonduu.org. As a reminder, please do not hesitate to reach out to our staff or our care team if you are in need. I hope everyone will consider stopping by our virtual coffee hour, which starts approximately 5 minutes after this service, through a separate Zoom link available in Saturday's email and on Facebook. Coffee hour provides a time to connect with fellow church members, and if you are new to First UU or a visitor with us today, a time for us to get to know you better. I would also encourage church members and visitors to tune into our Sunday morning services 5 to 10 minutes early in order to catch the rolling announcements. This is a good way to stay informed about things that are important in our church community. Again, welcome to this joyful Sunday, made more sacred by all of us being together, worshiping, and sharing our time with each other.
Chalice lighting this morning is by Kathy A. Huff. Divine Spark from Sacred Dark. Divine spark from sacred dark, symbol of our holy intent, illuminate this hour. Let us light our chalice.
Good morning. Welcome to services at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Richmond, Virginia. I am the Reverend Jeanne Pupke, and along with the Reverends Sherman Logan, Sue Cinnamon, and our talented musician corps of Jamie Kilpatrick and Beth Tolley, Katie Shively, and Grant Honeycutt, we will have some wonderful things today in our service. Those of you who are new here, I encourage you to take a moment to just put into the chat that you're new here so that we can connect with you and make sure that you have an opportunity to get any information you want about the church or its other services, how to get connected to those. We're glad that you're joining us today. And our topic today is about the stars that guide us. Most of the days of our lives, we don't pay a whole lot of attention to the stars that are up above us that guide us in our life and our living. But these days, we might be a little more cognizant of them. So we're going to talk about how we think about rehanging new stars. What causes us to do it, why, how. I'm glad you're here to be with us. And if the heavens don't open up too heavily, we might get this service done right here in the backyard. Welcome to a time of worship.
Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Day is a-breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear fathers? Oh, where are our dear fathers? They are down in the valley of praying. Day is a-breaking in my soul. Oh, where are our dear mothers? Oh, where are our dear mothers? They are gone to heaven a-shouting. Day is a-breaking in my soul. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Day is a-breaking in my soul.
For our meditation today, let's listen to a summer thunder shower.
Our prayer this morning, O Thou whose power we see in the stars, by Reverend Charles Howe. O Thou whose power we see in the stars, and whose presence we experience as love. We would today be sustained by that power and open to that love. Help us to remember that as we sow, so shall we reap. That whatever we project out from ourselves also comes back to us. Help us then to give our love, that we may also receive love. For we acknowledge that all of us need it, not out of selflessness, but out of necessity, no matter how independent and self-sufficient we may appear to be. Help us to understand that when we feel empty of love, and when we feel that we have none to give, and sometimes we all feel this way, that we can still receive love if we are open to it. And then, having received it, help us to recognize that we do, again, have something to give. And now, in the sacrament of sacred silence, may we think on these things. Think of those opportunities that may be ours, opportunities for openness, for giving, for receiving, when, where, to whom, from whom. Amen. Blessed be.
A reading by Rumi. Unfold your own myth. Who gets up early to discover the moment light begins? Who finds us here circling, bewildered like atoms? Who comes to a spring thirsty and sees the moon reflected in it? Who, like Jacob, blind with grief and age, smells the shirt of his lost son and can see again? Who lets a bucket down and brings up a flowing prophet? Or like Moses, goes for fire and finds what burns inside the sunrise? Jesus slips into a house to escape enemies and opens a door to the other world. Solomon cuts open a fish and there's a gold ring. Omar storms in to kill the prophet and leaves with blessings. Chase a deer and end up everywhere. An oyster opens his mouth to swallow one drop. Now there's a pearl. A vagrant wanders empty rooms. Suddenly he's wealthy. But don't be satisfied with stories, how things have gone with others. Unfold your own myth without complicated explanation, so everyone will understand the passage. We have opened you. Start walking toward Shams. Your legs will get heavy and tired. Then comes a moment of feeling the wings you've grown, lifting.
There'll be some thunder. These are some friends of mine from Tanzania. When I was a teenager, I was a Girl Scout. All my growing up, I was a Girl Scout, and we were off hiking on the Appalachian Trail. Somehow the calculation of how much food teenage girls would eat on the Appalachian Trail was not correlated to the distance that they would hike. And we ran low on food. So one of the leaders made a plan to follow the map to a store 4 miles on a side trail. A few of us emptied our packs and went with her to help carry. And it took us longer than we thought. We imagined we'd be back maybe a little late for dinner. The trail was very steep in its descent. And we were wearing not the high-tech things people wear now you get from REI. No, we didn't have those. So we slipped and we slid. And at least we had Band-Aids and a few things, especially water. When we got to the store, the owner was kind enough to let it stay open a little longer. In fact, I think he did open it up for us. And it was filled with lots of lightweight freeze-dried food, but we didn't have that kind of a budget in Girl Scouts. So instead we took cans and boxes of food and loaded them into our packs and started the climb back. Well, it was October, and by the time we got about a mile up the trail, the sun started setting. It was getting darker and darker, and only one of us had thought that we would be there maybe a little later, and she had brought a pen light. Yeah, one of those flashlights that looks like a pen, it's so small. So as it got darker and darker, what happened was the person at the head of the line would use the pen light, shining it didn't go very far, shining it a few feet ahead. And then we would follow close behind and they would say, rock left, branch right. And we would try like some sort of caterpillar going up these inclines to make adjustments. Now, mind you, we probably weren't more than 10 miles from a town, but we were in the woods and we had seen enough bear scat to know that we probably weren't alone. So as we went along, I'm sure all of us felt the same questions and fears. Were we really going to be okay? And with that little golden circle guiding us in front, we really couldn't see very much. At one point, though, we had been on an incline and we got to the flat above it and we stopped. And to conserve the batteries of the pen light, we turned it off. And then suddenly, as our eyes adjusted, we came to see that we were bathed in starlight. There wasn't much of a moon, and it was off to the horizon a bit, but the stars themselves were just beautiful in the blue sky and the cool air of October. They shone so brightly that it became clear to us that if we turn off the damn pen light, we'd actually see where we were going. Well, we arrived late in camp. Some people had already gone to bed. And I remember that we drank a whole bunch of water and we too went off to our sleeping bags. In life, we think sometimes that we're following the best and highest stars. We imagine the light in front of us is all that we need, and we make decisions. And the truth of the matter is, sometimes the decisions we made are just fine until something tough comes along, something difficult. Things like losing your job, losing your health insurance, being really far away from family, and not close to friends or living alone. We might rethink everything and wonder, in this time of COVID, what are we to do? What stars will guide us? To rethink our stars, we have to take down the old ones first. We have to see the many things we've been doing our whole life long, when, as young children, we came to understand that things were not fair for everyone, and that not everyone practiced fairness. We discovered that there were systematic problems. I know as a woman and as a gay person, I felt many of those pressures, and I discovered how particularly prejudiced people could be. For some of us, we're lucky enough that people will help us to understand that our little experience is just a piece of what others experience. So the stars that include things like good order, patriarchy, are not the ones we held on to. We always knew that our military could be used arbitrarily and still sometimes is deployed thoughtlessly, almost far away from the rest of the country. We know that sometimes police have been encouraged to be militarized, to be military in their treatment of citizens. We know that women don't always get a fair opportunity, and that COVID disproportionately affects Black and brown people who have jobs which are considered essential oftentimes. And for many of us, we see the inequality that is visited on immigrants who come here to seek a better life for their family and are treated instead like criminals and separated from their children. These realities, these terrible things unfold, and they are part of the systems that we look at with great new understanding, and we dismantle that constellation in our life. COVID days are making us all rethink how we have decided to be who we are, and to understand that the decisions we've made and the choices we made don't have to be forever. I know some people who 5 years ago would have said living in a house like the Golden Girls would have been absolutely maddening, who now, if they got the invitation, they might rethink it. There are people I know who are inviting other generations to come and share their houses now. I just spoke to a minister friend of mine who completed a trial run with his parents, and they'll be moving in this winter. I know too that it's hard for students. We can't physically go to school right now. And it even applies to some colleges are open and some are not. It's a very hard thing to be a freshman matriculating from 800 miles away. But all of these things test the constellations we've used to guide us. They test all the things we've trusted and wondered whether or not we have chosen well. We think now in gratitude that we're glad we have a job, but we realize that maybe we don't have the right job. And in these days, it may be a long time before we can seek the right job. So, as we're learning, I think it's really important for us to understand that sometimes we've been following the pen light when the stars were shining brilliantly up above. And it is okay to rethink things, to make choices for love and care, and not always for career or money, to make choices for our children that maybe before it didn't seem like we were doing enough, but we might be finding that all along what they wanted was more time with you. And we may also find that the things which have brought us a sense of security before are not the things that provide us security now. I know my wife and I have been spending more time than usual. There's no commute involved in the day, so even if we're busy, we get to have lunch together, we get to take time in the morning together. And really, we can say that the quality of our relationship is enhanced by that extra time. It feels good to us. Therefore, we're learning, and we hope to always be learning. These days are difficult, for sure. And if you're suffering from ill health or overwork because you're one of the caregivers or essential persons, if you're struggling economically, these are tough, tough times. And if there's something your church can do, please let us know. But also, we all suffer when we've found that we've been following the small golden light on the ground, when the brilliant white majesty of the stars are up ahead. Let's encourage each other to trust the stars that guide us. And let's imagine that together we are wiser than we are separately. Let's talk together about our stars. Let's examine the decisions that we're making with others. Let's listen as others tell us what they're learning in their situation. And maybe, as a result, we all can hang some new stars. May it be so. Blessed be to all of you. Ashe. Amen.
The Share the Plate beneficiary for August 2020 is Circles RVA. Circles RVA formed 2 years ago and is the local chapter of an initiative with 62 chapters in 17 states and Canada. Circles RVA empowers individuals and families to permanently move out of poverty and thrive and create intentional relationships that expand, support communities, and engage the wider community to reduce or eliminate the systemic barriers that hinder people from rising out of poverty. By providing a social network, financial tools, and emotional encouragement that activate economic growth for hardworking individuals living with poverty, Circles RVA is not merely managing life with limited resources, instead are working to break the cycle of poverty for Richmond families. Your financial support enables Circles RVA to continue empowering families to break the cycle of poverty and permanently move towards economic stability. We ask that you now give generously to this worthy cause. Thank you.
As you leave today, I want to invite you to think about hanging new stars. Talk with others about the new stars that they're thinking about hanging up. Encourage them. Take down the pen lights that we thought were from the ages, and instead understand them to be passing fancies, and go out there and become ever more the person you hope to be, the values you want to live, the way you want to be in this world. May it be so. And the rain did not get to this. Blessings, everyone. See you next week.
Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. And if you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the deep within you. Hear the song of peace in your heart. Spring's new beginning lead to harvest. Love will guide us on our way, on our way. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way. On the road from greed to giving, love will guide us through the dark night. Love will guide us through the dark night.